Hey YouTubers, and welcome back to Tony the Technician channel. And today we're going to be going into a review on a company or a product that I got maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago that I decided to purchase. It is going to be on a aftermarket battery for power tools, and it's from a company called Vanon. So if you guys follow my channel, this was probably one of the hardest purchases that I've had to make as far as some of the things that I've made videos on. I'm not one of those tool channels or YouTube channels that goes out and purchases a whole lot of the same tool just to destroy them. That's not what I'm about. I purchase things that I actually need or want, and I do a review on them, most of them positive. There have been a few negative, but I became pretty proficient in being able to get my hands on, determine whether something is of quality or not. And I know the brands that I like, and I can tell from their older lineup to their newer lineup, and when they've switched production locations on products. I've became pretty proficient in that, so I know when I'm gonna get a good tool, a good enough tool to do the job that I need it to. So when it came to cordless or electronic stuff, I don't usually like that. I usually always stick with the maker's brand. So I run the Dewalt 20v lineup and the Milwaukee M12 lineup. Well, I decided to go with the Vanon 20v for my Dewalt stuff, but I got these almost a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I didn't use them for the first 6 months. For one, I wanted to wait for the warranty on my Dewalt tools to run out because I didn't want to run the risk of a fire or somehow destroying the tool with the battery. And I sunk all this money into a cordless power tool. And so I held off on this review because I held off on using the battery in general. And then after the tool's actual warranty was up, I started to use it here and there in the garage. I've probably used it after the first 6 months of not using it. The 6 months after that, I probably used it maybe 10 to 15 times and didn't have an issue, maybe once, twice a month, something like that. It wasn't very often, but I didn't have any issues with it, and my tools ran perfectly fine on it. And then about 6 months to a year, I decided to take it to work with my tools, but I use it on one specific tool that does not get abused whatsoever. And so I want to share with you guys how it has held up in the actual work environment on a day-to-day basis, Monday through Friday, getting used for maybe 4 to 6, 7 hours a day. So it gets really good usage, and I'll share with you guys my thoughts on it. But this review has taken forever because I didn't use it for the first almost year, at least not enough to give a good honest review on. When it comes to hand tools and tools like that you normally see myself do reviews on, it's because I've used so many of those, I can tell what's good and what's not. This I was not very familiar with and was kind of wary of it. So I just wanted to make sure to give it a good, fair chance, and I think now is long enough, and I'm going to share my thoughts with you guys. If you guys have ever used an aftermarket battery, please share your thoughts down in the comments, or if you've used Vanon, the company itself, share your thoughts down in the comments or your experience with them, and I really hope you guys enjoy it. If you guys do, hit that thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Let's get into this. This is the product that I was speaking about. This is my original Dewalt 20v Max XR lithium ion battery. This is a 4 amp hour battery, DCB 204, made in Malaysia, and it is fully charged. And then I have the Vanon lithium ion 20v 6 amp hour battery, DCB 200, made in China. So it is fully charged, and keep in mind I have had this for about a year and a half to 2 years. So I'm just going to quickly show you both of them next to each other, but I'm also going to be throwing pictures up in here of some information on the Vanon battery. This battery runs anywhere from $25 to $35, so it's a little bit cheaper than buying the originals. So I went that route just because I wanted to test it out. But it's taken me a lot longer than I expected. No big deal, I wasn't in a hurry. So I want to share it with you guys. Also keep in mind now, when you purchase these, since I got this so long ago, they've actually updated some of their stuff. Sometimes it'll even state, sometimes you'll get a battery that looks like this, and then sometimes you'll get one that is more orangish red than it is yellow. And that's just them changing from old to new stock, but that's really, I believe, all that's changed. Just looking at it here on the back, hopefully you guys can kind of see that. The LEDs on the original are a much greener, brighter LED. Sorry, it's hard for me to keep both buttons pressed. But both have the same covers, and they've obviously tried to stick with the exact same design as far as the casing and everything as well. So it's the same size and dimensions, one being a 4 amp hour, one being a 6 amp hour battery. So this one should last longer. And I will say it does tend to last a little bit longer. I wouldn't necessarily say, I doubt this is a true 6 amp hour battery. I'm not sure. In a future video, I will be tearing this down, but I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to right now. So just looking at some of the differences, you can tell the LEDs are a little bit different. The connection points here are a little bit different. You can see here they have plastic molding split in the middle, and on the Vanon they do not. On the top, the pins are labeled the same. The release buttons are also the same. Sides are also the same. Overall, you can see the kind of difference here. The locking portion up in here is a little bit different design, but overall the shape and everything is the same. Here where there's bolts come through and connect the bottom casing to the top casing, here you can kind of see it's more of a rounded edge, where this one is more of a straight. Not a big deal. Those are just some of the differences that I noticed, but getting into it, Malaysia 4 amp hour, China 6 amp hour battery, same dimensions, very few differences. So before I get into what I really want to speak about on this battery, I want to show what I actually use it on at work. The reason I want to state what I use it on is so you guys understand the issue that I'm having with this. So this is an Elimident PDR work light, paintless dent removal, or any body work. This is a light that we use in order to repair damages. So you have this flexible shaft here, the light housing up here, and then you have the base where the battery actually connects. You can control your light bars here, and then you have a suction cup for attaching it to the body of the vehicle. So this thing I am very careful with because it is very expensive, as well as one of my primary tools. So I am very careful not to drop this or damage it in any way possible. So at no time has this battery been dropped or damaged in any way due to being used at work. Using the Dewalt, simply attach the battery, and then you have all 3 power strips turned on. The power is over here, and then you have your bright and dim, right? So you turn it on and you got your lighting on, and then with the switches you can select what lights, right? No big deal. As far as performance, I have had no issues with this battery. It works and connects just fine. Here, power on, no issues whatsoever. Performance works just fine. Battery life is good. I've had no issues whatsoever. The issue I'm having with this battery is probably due to the quality of it compared to the Dewalt. Not necessarily the internal quality, possibly, but the build quality of the plastic material and hardware. So after about 1 month of use, no drops or anything, I brought it home to charge it, and I shook it and I started hearing a noise. I was like, what the heck is that? I was like, obviously something broke. Well, it turned out to be this bolt here. You can see they use a Torx, and on the original they have a tamper-proof Torx. Not a big difference, but the threading portion up in here actually broke apart, I'm guessing because now the bolt has fell out. I still have it, and the battery is still together. but you can see here it is coming apart. And then on the back side, it's hard to see, but there is a hairline fracture crack here. Keep in mind, I have not dropped this battery whatsoever. I am very careful with this because it's attached to one of my more expensive tools that I have to use on a daily basis. So I'm very careful with it. So I'm not sure if that was just due to the bolt being too tight and eventually pulling the threads out of this, or it could have nothing to do with the quality of plastic really, and more specifically on the battery inside. If the battery itself is starting to expand like it's not supposed to, it has not been in severe temperature changes above what it's supposed to be in or below what it's supposed to be in. It's kept within its normal temperature ranges. So I'm afraid the battery is expanding inside, so I'm not sure how much life is left on it. It might not be. It could just be the threads gave out and it's starting to crack, and it could just be due to the quality of the exterior. But it could also be due to the internal battery expanding and going bad. The reason I'm not going to get into inspecting it right now in this video is because I'm still using this battery. I haven't had an issue with it as far as performance-wise. So if this battery ever does stop working on me, we will be taking this apart and comparing it to my Dewalt internals to see what the difference is, to see if this is a true 6 amp hour battery compared to this 4 amp hour battery, what the differences are internally. So stay tuned for that video. But I don't want to do that now because I use this battery and I'm afraid if I do disassemble it, I might not be able to get it back together, especially with it already being damaged. I don't want to make it any worse than it already is. The only other issue I've had with this is the release. This is nice and smooth. As you can see, when I push down here, no problem whatsoever. Sometimes when I click this one, as you can see, sometimes it doesn't like to go down straight. And it's finicky sometimes. So to me, it's mainly the quality of the exterior build on it. And in the future, we will see if the internal battery is going to last or not. So those are the two main things: the build quality of the plastic material used on the Vanon battery, as well as the function of the release button not working quite like it should. I haven't had an issue to where I can't get it off or anything, but sometimes it can just be finicky trying to get it to go down straight. So that is something to keep in mind. So overall thoughts, performance wise, I think it's good as of right now, because it's getting used 5 days a week for roughly 4 to 7 hours a day. So it's getting very good usage and it lasts all day. So that's really nice. It's being used with all 3 of these lights on throughout the day for 4 to 7 hours a day. So it lasts a really long time. I am extremely happy with the performance or lifespan of the battery, and I use my original Dewalt charger to charge this battery, and it has no issues whatsoever. Downside being, like I have already stated twice, the build quality of the exterior and possibly the expansion of the battery internally. So with the price difference in these, I'll put the price of the Vanon up in here, and then the price of an original 4 amp hour up in here, so you guys can see the price difference. Do I think it's worth it? I don't think so. I think if I ever buy another battery, I'm just gonna go with the original again. Not that anything on this has been so bad that I would say don't buy it, but I haven't had any issues with my Dewalt batteries. I have 4 other Dewalt batteries. 3 of these 4 amp hour batteries and a 3 amp hour battery, and haven't had any issues with breaking or expansion or anything like that, and battery life has been good on them. I've had them for well over 3 years now and have been very pleased with them. So overall, the price difference doesn't justify what's happening with this battery. So I think in the future I will just stick with the original Dewalt batteries. That's all I have for you now until this battery takes a dump and we can tear this down and see what it really looks like internally, and see if the battery itself is expanding, or if it did expand, or if it's just gonna go out on me. So those are my thoughts on the Vanon battery, and hopefully I've posted some images up in here sharing the information with you guys on this. And also keep in mind, they do have a couple different ones that look like this. They also have different sizes and everything, and they have it for different brands as well. So not a horrible experience with this, but definitely could use some improvements, but I do see why it's cheaper due to the quality of material that they're using, I believe. So if you guys have used any aftermarket batteries such as Vanon, please share your guys' thoughts down in the comments. Have you had good experiences with them? Has it saved you money, or have you had really bad experiences with them? And if so, what happened with yours? And I really hope you guys enjoyed and found this informative, even though we weren't necessarily able to tear this down just yet, but it will be coming, I'm sure. So if you guys enjoyed, make sure to hit that thumbs up, leave a comment down in the comment section of your guys' thoughts, and as always, subscribe if you're not a subscriber. I'll see you guys next time.